Alright, here we go. It's 5cc here, back with another video. And today I will be doing another Lego Ninjago ranking. Today I will be looking at the villains. So yeah, I actually just made this tier list a couple days ago. Because I looked around for some tier lists and none of them were really updated. And there weren't really too many Ninjago villain tier lists. But before we start the video, I do want to make a couple of clarifications. These are really only including the main villains, not really any side villains. These are just like the main villains, like main focuses of the season. So, like characters like Cyrus Borg, I think Overborg when he became evil, he's not included. Wu when he became evil during season 3, he's not included. There's probably a couple more things I can think of, but yeah, also Lloyd when he was evil in season 1 for like one episode, but he wasn't really evil. But yeah, guys, and if you haven't seen Ninjago, a lot of this won't really make any sense. So I really recommend you actually go and watch the show. There's so many seasons. But yeah, that's enough yapping. Let's get into the video. So yeah, you can see these are all the tiers we have. But first up, from the first ever season, the pilot season, we have Samukai. And if you don't know who Samukai is or was, like he was like the king, not the king of the underworld, but like he was like the leader of all the Skulkin army back in the pilot season. He was getting all the golden weapons for Garmadon. He was called the Dark Lord, Lord Garmadon. That was basically his whole role in the show. Now this was technically the first ever main villain, because like he's not the first ever villain, but the other villains were kind of like side villains, and I'm not including them. But I think in terms of like I think he's a great villain. Now, he was only there for the pilot season. He actually ended up dying at the end of the pilot season because he tried to take all the golden weapons for himself, but Garmadon revealed that no one can possess the power of all 4 weapons at the same time. So yeah, Samukai tried to be selfish and greedy and take it all for himself. And I mean, I wish there was more I could say about him, but like he was only in like a couple episodes and then he died after. And I'm only saying he's really great, honestly. I think I'd have to say he's decent. Or great, maybe. Just because I think this is really for nostalgia purposes. I love the pilot season of Ninjago. I don't think he really compares to nowadays villains, but for like the first installment of Ninjago, he's a pretty great villain. Next up, we have Garmadon back in the pilot season. Now there are various variations of Garmadon, like season 1, 2, 3, season 10, season 4. There's various variations of Garmadon, but right now I'll be focusing on the pilot season when he was like a shadow. Well, I don't have Shadow Garmadon, but I think he was pretty great. I'm not going to say he was amazing, because like this is the first time we ever saw Garmadon. Basically, he was the actual king of the underworld. He wanted all the golden weapons so he could get the power of 4 arms to possess them all at once. And yeah, he's a pretty bad dude. He wanted the golden weapons so he could take over Ninjago. And there is a lot of context, a lot of lore. And I don't really have the time to get into it, so if you guys want to learn more, then I seriously recommend you actually go check out the show for yourself. Only problem is you may be watching it for like a couple weeks because there are so many seasons, and there's also some specials and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's pretty great. But this is the first installment of Garmadon, so I can't really say it's my favorite. But now we go into the actual first season. Now, there were a couple main villains, I would say, in season 1. Like, we had Scales, which is the king of the Hypnobrai. We had Fangpire or Fangdom, or I don't even know. We had like the other 3 Serpentine generals. I'm only including Scales because he was the main one. And honestly, I'd say he's quite amazing. I love the Serpentine. Yeah, I'm putting him above Garmadon. Maybe I'd have to say he's great, because maybe amazing just because Scales, I feel like not even only as a villain, but as a character. But I mean, if I'm ranking him as a character, then that's not really gonna do this tier list any justice. So maybe I would have to rank him as a villain. I'd say he's a pretty decent villain. The thing is, it's kind of like confusing with the Serpentine because sometimes they're evil, sometimes they're good. So it's like really very confusing where they exactly stand. But anyways, next up we have Pythor. I think he's an amazing villain. Not my favorite. I don't think he's the best Ninjago villain, but Pythor has been in so many seasons. He's the last Anaconda, if you weren't aware. And a kind of dark secret about Pythor is he's the only reason why he's the last Anaconda, because back during the Serpentine Wars, the Anaconda, the Hypnobride, the Fangpires, the Constricti, and the Venomari, they were all like, all of their tribes or whatever, they were all like sent to different parts of Ninjago, and they basically had to stay there. They were locked away for all of eternity, and there's a whole lot of lore behind the Serpentine War and stuff behind that, but basically, Pythor, he had no other way to survive. Like, they didn't have any food or water, so he kind of just ate the other Anaconda. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, but Pythor, he's been very active in season 1. I don't believe he was in season 2, but he did come back in season 3, helped with the Overlord and that kind of thing. I didn't put Pythor on here again, but yeah, this is his season 1 appearance. But next up we have Garmadon from season 1. I'd say he's pretty amazing. Yeah, like this is the season where we really saw a lot of Garmadon. Now in season 2, Garmadon was actually better. Now I don't have a picture for season 2 Garmadon, so this one is going to kind of count for season 1 and season 2. I just didn't feel like having Garmadon on here multiple times than necessary. But it does look like I kind of ended up doing that. So yeah, also this is probably going to be a long video, so might end up being 20 or 30 minutes, but that's just how she goes. I'd say Garmadon in season 1, he was alright, because, like, I wouldn't really say he was, like, a super bad villain, but in season 2, it's like, he's trying to get rid of, like, because, like, his son Lloyd is the prophesized Green Ninja. He's not going to want to fight his son, and there's a whole lot that happened. But right now, we're just going to focus on season 1. I think he's a pretty amazing villain. But yeah, that's really it for season 1. I think Pythor was really the main villain. Now at the end of season 1, he did end up awakening the Great Devourer, but I didn't include that character onto here because, I mean, it's more of a dragon, or not a dragon, but a huge serpent rather than an actual character, so that's why she's missing. But next up, Kozu. I think he's the GOAT. No doubted, I love the Stone Army. And I actually am going to do a ranking on the different villain armies next, but, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be my next video release, but after this video, I will probably record that video, but I love Kozu. He was the second ever character, well, not second, but third ever character in the show to have 4 arms, and I don't even know why I love this character. Like, he didn't really do much in the show, but, yeah, he's probably one of my favorite villains on the show, so, honestly, I'd have to move him down here, to be honest, and I'd have to kind of put him between Garmadon and Pythor. Well, I do think he would be the GOAT. I do think there are better villains, and I don't really think it's appropriate to have Kozu up there. Next up, we have back when the Overlord possessed Garmadon, back in season 2, back on the Dark Island, because the Overlord made Garmadon believe he would have Ninjago in his image, but it was actually the Overlord's image. He basically tricked and manipulated Garmadon, so, into fighting his son, they left the ninjas stranded on the Dark Island, and then the Overlord and his army, which was the Stone Army, they ended up going back to Ninjago through a portal, and it was shadows and darkness, and everyone was depressed and evil. And yeah, that was a pretty bad time for the ninja back in season 2. But I'd have to say he's pretty amazing. I don't know if he's better than Garmadon, but like, it's basically the Overlord possessing Garmadon. So this is technically the first time the ninja ever fought the Overlord. And we all know at the end of season 2, he ended up becoming that huge dragon that Lloyd had to defeat as the Golden Ninja, or the Ultimate Spinjitzu Master. But yeah. Next up, we have General Cryptor. I honestly think he's a pretty great villain. I wish we saw more of him in this season. Only thing is that I don't like season 3. No doubt about it. I think it was unnecessary. I don't like season 3, but Crypto is a pretty great villain. He was a ninja, like kind of like leader of the Ninjroids, but there's not really much else I can say. Next up, we have the Overlord. I just have to say he's garbage or meh. Or garbage because like they made him return in season 3 for some reason. Now I do love the design for this character, don't get me wrong, but like the ninja, they defeated him like 3 different times and he just came back again, and I don't like season 3, so no doubt I wouldn't like this character. And he just wanted to destroy Ninjago. It's kind of the same thing all over again. Maybe it would be higher if the season was better, but maybe they should just not have brought him back at all. So for that, I'm just gonna have to say garbage. Like, he didn't even really have any real motive. And, I want to destroy all of Ninjago. I mean, that's pretty much what most of these villains, or a lot of the villains, can nail down to, but there's a bit more character development, and I just want to go on to the next character. Next up, we have Master Chin. I wouldn't say he's the GOAT. I'd say he's amazing, though. In case you don't know, he was like the leader of like the Tournament of Elements, which was secretly a scam to steal all the elemental powers. But the reason why the ninja ended up at the tournament in the first place is because like their friend Zane, like after defeating the Overlord in season 3, I believe it was Ronin, like he actually got the body of Zane and took it to Master Chin for a bounty. So that's pretty much the context behind that. I mean, Chin is a pretty good, like he's like a whole manipulator, a con man. Season 4 is my second favorite season, and while I wouldn't say Chin is the GOAT villain, he's pretty good. Next up, we have Klaus. I'd have to say he's pretty great. Like, he kind of, like, his whole power is dark magic. He can just manipulate things, and he did come back in season 6 for a while, but we don't really talk about that. And I wish there was more I could say about Klaus, but if you watch Ninjago, you hear the name Klaus, you know everything about this man. Now, there is something I want to add before I continue, because I'm not even really halfway through the list yet. But if you remember, I think it was after season 7, there was the Dark Island trilogy. Now, I might be wrong. It might have been before season 7. I've never read it. And if you don't know what it is, I don't really know what it is, but I know Klaus was like the main antagonist. It was like a comic series, or not a comic, but or a graphic novel, but I've never read it, so I'm just considering Klaus from season 4. But yeah, I hope one day to read the Dark Island trilogy, and it's actually canon to the show, as we saw in season 10, March Only, the intro. But that's just getting ahead of ourselves. Next up, we have Nauticon. I think he's a pretty amazing villain. Season 6, I don't really like season 6. I don't know where I ranked. I think I might have ranked it C tier on the other video, so it was pretty alright because that was a rewatch. But I say he's a pretty amazing villain. I don't really know if I like him. I don't think I like him more than Crypt. I don't know if I like him more than Kozu, though. Yeah, I don't know if I like Chin more than Kozu, and Kozu didn't really have any line. I think it's just like design. I love the Stone Army, so. But maybe Chin had more personality than Kozu, but I can't really see myself putting Nauticon any higher up. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. And you don't know, he was like the Jin, like an evil genie. He wanted to turn Ninjago into Jinjago, because at the end of season 5, Nia, she unlocked her true potential. She's the master of water. She defeated the cursed realm, and in Ninjago, when one realm falls, the sister realm falls. So basically, Nauticon wanted to get revenge on the ninja because they basically destroyed his realm indirectly. So, I mean, that's kind of a good reason to be a villain, not gonna lie. All the other stuff he did, all the sketchy, shady stuff he did with Delara and Nia in the season, put that all aside. It kind of makes sense why he's a villain, because Nia basically destroyed his home. Well, not basically, but indirectly, but we can get into that later in another video. Next up, we have the Time Twins. I love the Time Twins, but, yeah. These are probably some of my favorite villains. I know, not a lot of people like season 7. I just like the whole concept of the season. Granted, the execution was kind of wobbly, but I do think these are some of the better villains in Ninjago. Yeah, they were kind of goofy. They basically wanted to like cause a whole bunch of trouble in time. But in terms of these other villains, I think I would have to kind of place them right here, like kind of like in the middle. Now keep in mind that this rank will probably change in the future. Now for the next three, these weren't really main villains, but I just kind of wanted to add them. And we're going to kind of run through them quick. Mr. E, one of the Sons of Garmadon in Season 8, literally called the Sons of Garmadon. We haven't really seen much of him, but because he had the whole Oni mask of vengeance, I'd have to say he's pretty great. Ultraviolet, I'd say garbage. I don't really like Ultraviolet. Kilo, I don't really remember what Kilo did. Honestly, I don't really like either of these. I think I like her a little bit more than Kilo. Only thing is that these characters didn't really have the best character development, so, yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. Season 8 Harumi was amazing. And Season 9 Harumi was also amazing. What they did to her later on in the show isn't so amazing, but we can get into that in another video. Her whole thing is that because back in Season 1, the Great Devourer was unleashed into the city, her parents got killed, like in a building, the building collapsing, so now she wants to get revenge on the ninja. But her whole thing is she wants to resurrect the evil side of Garmadon. Because back in Season 1, the ninja didn't defeat the Great Devourer, the Garmadon did, and that's actually kind of the context for this picture. Him using all four of the golden weapons, the Sword of Fire, the Nunchucks of Ice, the Nunchucks of Lightning, the Shurikens of Ice, and the Scythe of Quakes. He actually defeated the Great Devourer. So basically, Harumi sees Garmadon as a hero. So yeah, she brings back the evil side of him. That's basically her whole goal in Season 8. And she is a villain in Season 9 as well, but I have two villains for Season 9. So Garmadon wasn't really in Season 8. He came back at the end of Season 8. And Harumi was also still a villain in Season 9, but this kind of accounts for both. Garmadon, I think he's the GOAT. Season 10, I love what they did with his character in Season 10. Because if you weren't aware, Season 3, Season 4, he was still Garmadon, but he was a sensei now, so he wasn't really a villain. But I love what they did with him, how they expanded with his powers. I love how he created the Oni Titans to go after the ninja. And if you haven't seen this season, go watch it. But also, if you haven't seen any of the show, I really, really recommend you go watch the show. The Iron Baron, I'd say he's meh. Honestly, I can't really remember anything about the Iron Baron, other than the fact that, like, he wants Firstborn, which is basically the mother of all dragons. Like, he wants to control her. And they basically, the dragon hunters, they hunt down dragons and stuff. And yeah, see, this was Season 9, Hunted. But, yeah, I don't really have anything. I'm not gonna say he's complete garbage, but I just say he's a pretty meh villain. Now, the Omega, they really hyped him up. Season 10, the March of the Oni, they really hyped the Oni up. And I'm just gonna be honest, he's a quite meh villain. I like his design, but honestly, I want to put him above Iron Baron, but they really didn't flesh out the Omega, like, at all. I want to say he's garbage, but I don't want to do the Oni like that. Aspera, I say Aspera was a pretty great villain. I know, there was the whole revenge, I want revenge thing in Season 11, Part 1, the Fire chapter. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say she's my favorite. I wouldn't say I like her. Actually, I think I probably like Klaus better. But, yeah, there isn't really much I can say about Aspera. If you know, you know. And then Part 2 of Secrets of Forbidden Spinjitzu, the Ice chapter. I don't really care for the Ice Emperor. And that's actually crazy. Most people prefer the Ice chapter to the Fire chapter. I don't really care for the Ice chapter, but maybe that's because I'm a Kai fan, so. But that being said, the Ice Emperor, yeah, he froze over the whole Never Realm in 60 years, because there's a time difference between Ninjago and the Never Realm, but I'm just not really a fan of the Ice Emperor, so that's the reason why he's down here. And the whole reason Zane is evil is because at the end of the Fire chapter, he was holding the Scroll of Forbidden Spinjitzu, but like a spirit basically blasted him into the nether realm. And then General Vex, which was one of the Blizzard samurai, he basically went up to Zane and reprogrammed him into making him evil. And over time, he became the Ice Emperor, and he just froze over all these people. And that's basically the whole reason. There's a lot of context missing, but that's all you need to know for this video. And I know I kind of just talked fast, but I think this is a pretty solid list so far. We still got like so many left to do, but yeah. Next up we have Unigami. I don't really care for season 12. I like rewatching the season, but he didn't really have enough screen time, so I'm gonna say he's utter garbage. I would want to put him above these, but like we really haven't seen. And the only reason I added these two because I was adding Mr. E, but I don't really like these characters. The show will be better off without them. Now Ultraviolet, since season 8, she has been in like a couple episodes since then, but she's not really a full. I mean, she is evil. She is a villain. She's not one of the main villains, and she's kind of just evil for the sake of being evil. There's really no goal for her to be evil, but I don't really care for them. I don't really care for Unigami. Now, next up, we have season 13, A Master of the Mountain, the Skull Sorcerer. I think he's pretty decent. I think I still might like Scales better. Now, I remember when the season first came out, I was actually like a huge fan of the season, a huge fan of this villain. But over time, you'll get better characters, and that's pretty much where I stand with that. And you know, just as I'm in the middle of this tier list, I'm forgetting the one and most important character that I said I was going to add to the list, and I don't actually have it. Yeah, it really sucks that I somehow forgot this villain, but we forgot Moro, so there isn't really much I can do. I could restart the video, but I'm not gonna do that right now. Moro will no doubtably be up here at the top for the GOAT. I swear I added him, but I guess it didn't get added in. Hold on. I'm gonna have to pause it real quick. So, yeah, unfortunately, I forgot Moro. He was the main reason why I wanted to do this tier list, but Moro would definitely be above Garmadon for season 10. But, because I would go and look for an image right now, but, I can't because the whole recording would just end, and then I would have to sit up here for another 30 minutes trying to figure it out again. But, next up, we have Chief Mattis and the Island. Utter garbage. He didn't really do anything. He's not really a villain. I just wanted to add him up here. Prince Kalmar in season 15, Seabound. Utter garbage. I'm not even going to talk about him. I don't like him. He's pretty annoying. The Crystal King. I'm just going to say he's the top of garbage. I love his design, but like he's evil just for the sake of being evil. Why did the Overlord return again? I'm only ranking him this high up just because he kind of did a lot more damage this go around with the whole Vengestone army. And I love the Vengestone army, don't get me wrong. But, next up we have Lord Roz. I was going to rank him in the GOAT originally, but, I honestly don't know what to do with, Lord Roz because we don't really know why he's a villain. Yet we'll have to wait for season 3. So ranking it based on what I saw, now I love his minifigure. I have all 3 Lord Roz minifigures. I actually have duplicates of them, but I say he's at the top of great. I want to put him in amazing, but we haven't really seen. I mean, we have seen a lot of him in season 2. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, Rapton was kind of like his sidekick, but nowadays he's kind of like, well, he's still a villain, but like he's not one of the main villains. But I'd say he's a decent villain. Next up, Empress Beatrix. I don't really like her. But, you know, I think she's at the top of meh. Now, the next 4, we're going to kind of run through them real quick. Hold on. Jordana, she was in season 1. But season 1 of Dragons Rising, I should have clarified this. Lord Roz is in season 1 of Dragons Rising for those who are unaware. But, yeah. Jordana. Because she was in season 2, but we're just ranking season 1 Jordana. Actually, no, this is season 2, part 2 Jordana. Sorry, I just got that confusing. And part 1, not part 2. Now, in part 1 of Dragon's Rising, I'd say she's a pretty great villain. Yeah, and that's all. Now, Cinder, yeah, he's one of my favorite villains. And I know we haven't really seen a lot of him, but I just love Cinder. He's the new Master of Smoke. We don't know what happened to the old Master of Smoke, but that's not really important. Now, Jordana, when she's possessed by rocks, honestly, I think she's pretty good. Yeah, Jordana being possessed by rocks. And if you don't know, Rock is actually one of the members of the Forbidden Five. And Noct, last but not least, he is the leader of the Forbidden Five. And Rox and Noct are basically brothers. He was also introduced. Both of them were introduced in season. Well, they were technically introduced at the end of part 1 of season 2, but they were officially introduced into the show in part 2. Although Rox was just possessing Jordana the whole time. But yeah, Noct, we haven't seen too much of him, but I say he's a pretty amazing villain because, like, at the end of season 2, part 2 of Dragon's Rising, he basically got all the elemental powers, and he had a 1v1 with Kai. Yeah, Kai pretty much lost, but he was doing pretty good. I love the fight scenes with him. I hope they do a lot more with his character in the future. But, I mean, we'll have to wait for season 3. So, yeah, this is pretty much it for my list. Before I go, I actually will try to get that Moro picture back. It may take me a couple minutes, though. Alright, we are back. I finally got an image of Moro. But to finish off the tier list, it's only appropriate to place him at the GOAT. Now, I think I'm only really putting Moro. I'm only putting Cinder up here just because how much I liked him. They kind of ruined him in part 2, season 2 of Dragon's Rising. But overall, I really, really like his character. And honestly, since we don't really have that much of Noct, I'm going to have to place him down. I'm also going to have to place Harumi down. And this is only considering like season 8, season 9 Harumi. Not talking about whatever they did to her in Crystallized. But I mean, yeah, I do think this is a pretty appropriate list. Yeah, I'm still doing a lot, changing a lot around, but yeah, I think this is probably a pretty solid list. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little chaotic and unorganized, but yeah, just make sure to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I hope to see you guys in the future.